Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about Neptune conjunct to the North Node in Synastry. So the North Node shows where our soul is going in this lifetime. It is a point of destiny or fate, and when we embrace that energy of the sign and house placement of our North Node, we feel on track, on purpose, like we're living from our soul. But it's always directly opposite to the South Node, which is the point of comfort. It's an energy that we're also very gifted at, very natural with. But if we solely stay there, it becomes stagnant for us and it can show past life energy. So when Neptune, the planet of illusion and confusion and spirituality and the mystical, ethereal, emotional energy of our hopes and dreams and addictions, is conjunct to our North Node, this is a very profound spiritual connection. And, you could say that about any planet conjunct to the North Node in Synastry, but specifically Neptune, the spiritual aspect of the bond is like doubled. So, usually there is going to be an interest in some form of spirituality, and sometimes it is the Neptune person that is actually bringing the North Node person to a more spiritual path. And the Node person may resist that at times, but also with Neptune, it is kind of a more gentle energy that, it's different than having a more harsh planet conjunct to the North Node like Pluto or Mars or something, where sometimes we resist the connection and we don't want to go there. With Neptune, it is like we do kind of embrace the wisdom coming from the Neptune person. Now, there is a danger with Neptune conjunct to either of the nodes, probably more so the South Node, but also the North Node as well, that the Neptune person will lead the node person into various forms of addiction or escapism. So you don't want to be drinking buddies when you have this conjunction, because you could potentially have that kind of energy with each other as well. That's kind of one manifestation of Neptune conjunct to the North Node. But you also want to look at the sign that this conjunction is taking place in, because that's going to show the energy that is like coming out here, as far as like the escapism, if there is, or the confusion, if there is a bit of confusion. The Neptune person can definitely behave in the classically Neptunian way of being like evasive or being deceptive or being kind of not always physically there as well. Like or maybe they're physically there, but the node person still at times can feel like they can't reach them because they're very Neptunian, they're very Piscean. There's something a little bit hard to reach about them. So it's a very interesting conjunction to have. I actually have this with my mom in this lifetime, and I do remember, and the conjunction taking place in Scorpio, I do remember she got me into spiritual things sort of indirectly, but the first probably introduction I had to anything of the spiritual would have been when I was quite young, and I just saw a book on the bookshelf in our house, in my mom's house, and it was called Discover Your Past Lives. And I must have been like 6 or 7 years old, or I don't know. I old enough to read that, so maybe I was like 8. I don't know, but I also read at a young age. But yeah, I saw that book, and something clicked for me. I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. Like, I've had past lives. This isn't my only life, because I always felt very ancient and old, and like, it was just like something clicked. I was like, wow, okay. So like that realization, that knowing, I mean, that's not something I had to be taught. That's not something I had to like research in order to believe that I had the right information to know if it was true. Like, that's not how it was for me. It was like as soon as I saw that book title, I was like, oh man, I've had past lives. Like it makes so much sense. That's why I feel like this, right? And I also had reoccurring nightmares as a child about certain things that just didn't make sense to my current lifetime. So, anyways, that conjunction in Scorpio, my North Node in Scorpio, mom's Neptune, and there were other things too. Like she also for one of my birthdays in my teen years, she bought me crystals, and I was like, what are these? And she's like, I just saw them at a spiritual store, and I think they're for healing. And she's also a Pisces with multiple Pisces placements as well, so it sort of fit. But yeah, so my mother sort of directly, indirectly guided me onto my North Node path. With North Node in Scorpio, it is a more spiritual path. It is, connecting with energies, connecting with emotional things and depth and stuff like that. So that was just a little experience of mine. But I've also had this on the reversal too, with my Neptune being in Capricorn. I'm that generation and being conjunct to people's North Node in Capricorn. And that does seem to take a more business like form where it's like I'm actually helping these people with their spiritual business, which is very interesting. Neptune and Capricorn, it is kind of like that. So I've had clients where that was sort of how I coach them, with my Neptune conjunct to their North Node, and it's like I'm helping them start their spiritual business, or with how exactly to structure it. So it is yeah, the sign does matter, the sign that this conjunction is taking place in, but it does show that there is something very much like a spiritual guiding force to this relationship. And I think that, with the North Node specifically, it does show like a contract to help the person. And, sometimes the relationship will be fleeting. Sometimes it'll be something, that doesn't last for long. But as long as the lesson's learnt, then the souls are happy. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. It can last long. But the thing with the North Node and having a planet conjunct in Synastry, it's like that planet person has a contract to teach the node person a lesson about that energy. But the node person also teaches the planet person as well. So it is kind of like both ways, but I think it is more so the planet person teaching the node person. But that could be controversial because they are both teaching each other. But yeah, in the realms of Neptune, it is something to do with either, spirituality and, this its own way that sign manifest spirituality. It can also be, teaching something to do with addictions or escapism. And like I said, if this lesson is not learned, if there's something, the karma is repeating from previous lifetimes, you could indulge in escapist behaviors. Maybe you're escapist spiritually, like maybe you're the people that, you're addicted to spirituality and everything to do with it, but you're not implementing it into your life in a structured way. That could be a negative manifestation of this conjunction, is that you're kind of it as a couple or as a friendship or business partnership or whatever, you're not dealing with the reality of life. Because that's the thing about Neptune, is that it's like the exact opposite of harsh. It's very much like not wanting to deal with the details and let's just stay in this dream. Let's just, go shopping. Let's have a bottle of wine. Let's buy 10 spiritual courses and not do them all, or things like that. So that's what you want to watch out for with this conjunction, is encouraging each other to be escapists. And that's not just coming from Neptune. It's actually they both can bring that out in each other. But with the conjunction to the North Node, it is more so that we learn the lesson, whereas sometimes with the South Node, it's we can more so get stuck in the negative Neptune. It is more likely with this conjunction that we're going to stay in the more higher realms of Neptune. So another aspect of this is that the node person's heart can be opened by the Neptune person. They see how the Neptune person is so giving and so, empathetic and so sensitive or spiritual, and it inspires the node person to open up their heart more. And this can all be going on subtly. Like, this isn't always something that's going to be talked about, but this is an energy that I've seen it play out where it's like the node person sees the Neptune person as like this beautiful example of like heart energy, and um, it can really inspire the node person to open their heart and connect with a more Neptunian love, which is like a boundless love. It's like an unconditional love. And yeah, the Neptune person can really inspire the node person to be more loving, be more empathetic, be more just connected into their heart's truth. And also we have to talk about the Neptunian energy of dreams. So when you're with this person, or even when you're not with them, actually, you can dream about them a lot, and you can be doing kind of like dream work together, like in the astral, like you're working through things like this person you can likely dream about a lot when you have Neptune conjunct to the North Node in Synastry. It is kind of like even when you're not physically connected, you're connected in the astral as well. And maybe that's a part of, where you're doing this soul work. It's not all in the physical plane. Some of it is going to be in the spiritual plane. And that's, maybe that's a part of this contract, is not just that you have a spiritual mission together, you also have, or sorry, not just that you have a physical mission together, you also have a spiritual mission together. And that's going to be a part of it. So also, this can really show a lot of artistic creativity being born through that sign. Like I said, like with Neptune and Capricorn, it's like, an energy of like the spiritual business, that's creativity, right? And that in a very Capricorn way, it's like, well, let's structure this spiritual knowledge into something that's going to profit us, right? Like that's very Neptune and Capricorn. But also, like, if you have to look at the sign, like that's going to show the area of creativity. And then the house placement, where this is falling in the houses of both people, is going to show the area of focus where, we're really getting this like boundless Neptunian creativity out. And that's going to be a part of this mission that you have together, is doing something creative, birthing something into this world that is otherworldly. Okay. So I guess a little bit more just on the downside, you do want to be aware, even though this is Neptune to North Node, Neptune in general, you just want to be aware of deceit and, someone not being entirely honest. And, it's likely if it is the Neptune person, it's not that they lie on purpose necessarily. It's just that, like, Neptune's energy into the North Node, like the Neptune can really look up to the North Node person as well. And it's like they don't want to disappoint them, so they maybe don't always tell them the whole entire truth about what's going on with them, because it's almost like Neptune wants to be what it wishes it was. And so if there is lying, if there is deceit, it's not usually coming from like a negative place, like of wanting to hurt the other. It's like they want each other to see the best in each other. And so that could contribute to a lack of honesty, but like you just want to be very clear with this contact. Like you want to like communicate well, communicate clearly, because it can get a little foggy, it can get a little dreamy, right? We're doing all this astral work, like let's keep it grounded, let's, lay everything out, sign on the dotted line, or, make sure everything's clear. Because yeah, things can get a little confusing when we have a strong Neptune conjunction like this. So you could, at the worst, see the Neptune person completely like deceiving the node person and pulling them off their spiritual path. But usually this one is going to more show that like the Neptune person is helping gently pull the node person to their North Node path, and they're both, mutually benefiting each other spiritually, emotionally, and you can feel very deeply, incredibly close and intimate with this conjunction. There's something very, it's like a soul level merge when you have this contact. It's very close. It can be a very binding bonding synastry aspect. But I'd love to know, you guys, what your experience of this aspect was. If you had it in synastry, what was it like? Was it like this at all? Let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for your requests, you guys. Keep those requests coming. We'll talk soon. Okay, bye.